Welcome to All Things San Antonio, the ultimate podcast dedicated to the heart and soul of the Alamo City. I'm one of your hosts, Brad Burns.
And I'm Ken Carter.
And together, we're your guides on this exciting journey through an inside look of San Antonio's culture, history, and community.
In each episode, we'll uncover the hidden gems, share captivating stories, and explore the vibrant neighborhoods that make San Antonio so special.
Whether you're born and raised San Antonian or just passing through, our podcast will bring you closer to the essence of this incredible city. From the mouthwatering cuisine to the iconic Riverwalk, we've got it all covered.
So whether you're planning your next visit, looking for insider tips, or simply want to immerse yourself in the unique charm of San Antonio, you're in the right place. Sit back, relax, and let's embark on a captivating journey through all things San Antonio.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's go.
Hey, San Antonio. Welcome to your new podcast, All Things San Antonio, ATSA. I'm Ken Carter, and I'm here with
Brad Burns. We're excited to kick off Season 1, Episode 1 of All Things San Antonio, where we're going to be discussing new things coming to San Antonio, real estate trends, commercial real estate trends, and more importantly, the best tacos.
That's easy. For me, if we're going to start, are we just going to start off with tacos?
We can. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself first, Ken.
So I'm a what I call a retired dependent. My dad was in the Air Force. He spent 31 years in. We moved to San Antonio when I was 16, and it was the 11th place that I had lived in my life. I moved on, and that was with spending 3 years in one location. And like literally, my dad had a little bit of a gypsy soul. His favorite song was "On the Road Again" by Willie Nelson. And every time he came home, I was scared. It's like, okay, we're going to be moving again. And so we moved to San Antonio in '89. I've been here pretty much consistently through there. I spent a couple years away, but San Antonio is definitely what I call home. I've got 6 kids here, and 2 of them have graduated from UTSA. I've got 4 of them that have graduated college. A couple are still in high school, one in high school and one in middle school. But I definitely feel I'm what we say in San Antonio is I'm puro San Antonio.
Yeah, so you've been here since '89.
Since '89.
So
that's when you were born. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I know. Your whole life, but you've been here my whole life.
Pretty much. I heard you were coming around. I was like, I like this dude. Let's get to San Antonio.
Oh yeah. So my name's Brad Burns, born and raised in San Antonio on the city's southeast side, not too far from the Alamo Dome. Born in '89, and haven't moved since.
Why would you?
Yeah. There's nowhere better.
It truly is. It's one of the things, and we've talked about this before, one of the things that I do truly love about San Antonio. Both of us are sports fans. You're a diehard Cowboys fan. I'm sure that's going to be relevant to 33% of America, because there's 33%, I think, because that's the number of Cowboys fans. It's quote-unquote America's team.
Yeah, Cowboys are America's team. You either love them or you love to hate them, but we know you still love them. Cowboy Nation, baby.
I'm for any team that plays the Cowboys. I grew up as an Oiler fan, and my brother was a huge Cowboys fan, and he still is to this day. He's one of those guys that even put the tattoo of the star on his arm just to show everybody that where his loyalty is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say the Packers next week.
Packers next week?
Yeah, I'm gonna side with your wife, with Delilah, and we're going Packers all the way.
Did you see I sent her a Google Calendar invite letting her know that Cowboys are going to destroy the Packers?
I saw that. That was kind of cruel.
Yeah,
but it's all right. The rivalry in the house is real, so it's fun I'm sure it's a lot of fun for y'all.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be fun. And I was telling her, I said I'm not going to win either way. So if when the Cowboys beat the Packers,
you said if
people are going to say, well, the Packers barely made it. Like, of course they were going to get blown out. But if for some crazy reason the Packers win, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I knew the Cowboys were going to choke. That's all they do. Da, 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 da. So we're going to hear it either way, but we're going to hear it from the Super Bowl.
Well, I will have to say, honestly, I do hope the Cowboys win, because at the end of the day, it's a Texas team, and we'd rather have a Texas team win than Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. I've always been that same way. Even in basketball, if a Texas team is there, that's who I'm going for. Even it's a little rough having to go for the Mavs sometimes, like when they went up to the championship. Love Mark Cuban, puts out a lot of good stuff. But the Riverwalk is not that dirty. They clean it once a year.
Absolutely. So. We'll just roll right into the Spurs then. If we're going to switch to basketball, I love what the Spurs are doing here in San Antonio. I love, man, watching this guy Wemby play is just amazing. I've never seen somebody that has that physique and able to do the things that he does. Like, I see these videos where they show Ginobili making a move, and then they show Wemby doing the exact same move, or they show old Sean Elliott making the move, and then they show Wemby and Tim Duncan, the same thing. It's like he's all of these players wrapped in one. Combined. Yeah, he is. And I feel like we're following kind of the trend that we did back in like about the time you were born, around 89, 87.
We got David.
We got David. We tanked a couple seasons on purpose so we could get Tim come in and everything. And it's like, I'm not saying that we're tanking these seasons, but we're definitely on track to possibly get another number one draft pick and pull in some more European players.
Shout out to the Spurs with the 6-30 record. That's a little tough for the city. I saw Wemby. He got his first triple-double the other night. I think it was last night, yeah.
He's a walking double-double for sure.
Oh, easily.
And I think that triple-double, I think he did it like in the first 21 minutes. I saw somebody send it out on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, that within 21 minutes he had a triple-double, which is mind-boggling at the end of the day. But what's even cooler is like the commitment that overall that the Spurs, like even old school Spurs with what Robinson has done with like the Carver Academy and stuff like that. My daughter plays volleyball competitively, and our club team practices every day at the George Gervin, the old Iceman.
Yeah,
at his school and his gym down there. So the impact of the Spurs has always been felt, and they've always been a great community, part of our community. But you were telling me about the Spurs Club, which is a new thing that they're doing, which is pretty cool within San Antonio, where not only is it part of their practice facility, but there's a whole lot more.
Yeah, so the Spurs just rolled out, or they just opened up their new training facility called The Rock at La Cantera. So it's right there close to Six Flags, Loop 1604, I-10. It's going to have an exclusive club that just opened up. Not everybody's just going to be able to get in there. One of the cool things I think about it, if you've seen in Dallas, shout out to the Cowboys. If you've seen in Dallas, you've seen the Star and what they've done around there with the practice facility, the shops, the restaurants, and things like that. I think the Spurs are going that way with the Rock. Yeah. And so they got the practice facility. They have the restaurants, the bars, the club. They have an open air area with a 40-foot LED screen.
To watch the games.
Yeah, to watch the screens, or to watch the games. So I think they're going to play every game out there on the screens to where you can go out, hang out, watch the game outside, kind of like the Pearl of the north side.
Yeah, kind of like the open air mall type thing.
Yeah.
I love the name, The Rock. Especially that area, La Cantera and all that. I mean, if you've ever tried to build out there, all it is rock.
Yeah.
And then with basketball and everything, it's a great double entendre, if you will.
I was showing some houses out there, and one of the things we were looking at was houses with pools. And the clients I was showing were like, these are in-ground pools, but they're above the ground. I said, yeah, because they had to chip through all this rock to actually make it happen, and then with the hills and whatnot. So, yeah, that was definitely something crazy to see, just how they have to build the pools and things like that out there.
For sure. And if in that area, if you want a pool, you definitely want to make sure to buy a house with a pool instead of paying the expense to put it in, because it's astronomical.
Oh yeah, especially out there.
So difficult.
Somebody once told me, and I never really looked into it too much, but they told me that SeaWorld had originally looked at building on the city's like far east side, like Kirby area.
Okay.
But when they started doing the soil test and things like that, they figured out that area is so much clay soil compared to where it's at is rock near La Cantera, kind of around that area. And it just wouldn't hold the weight of the tanks.
Ah, yeah.
So they had to build it out the other way.
I don't know if you might have been too young. When they first built Fiesta, Texas, Six Flags pit out there, they had a big dirt roundup where they had built out, because it's basically in a quarry, if you will, and they had so much dirt and everything. They were basically inviting anybody and everybody to bring your truck and come get free dirt. And so it was the Fiesta, Texas dirt roundup where they were just giving away dirt so they could put the Six Flags in there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. I remember, you remember the old Alamo Dome dirt debacle?
I do. I was a big proponent of my graduating class. I graduated high school from Judson High School. We held our ceremony in the old Hemisphere Arena, which is no longer in existence. And I remember when we first started going to the games at the Alamo Dome when they were transitioning over. Every single Spurs game that I went to, there was somebody with a clipboard taking not a poll. I can't even think of the word for it right now. A petition, doing a petition to save the Hemisphere Arena. I was like, man, I graduated from there. I'm signing that. I think I signed it 5 times.
Yeah.
They tore it down anyway.
No, it didn't work. They didn't care about your opinion.
But now they're looking at building a new arena there. That's
yeah.
Which I guess and move the Spurs away from the Frost Center.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about, to get them back downtown and bring a lot more life back to the downtown area.
I'm all for that. I think that we've done a great job in San Antonio in building up our downtown area with what they do with the Pearl and all of the development in Southtown and everything like that. It's become it's a safer environment than it was in the past. They tore down some of the old apartment complexes that might have had a little bit more dangerous aspect to them.
Yeah, they were like the housing authority apartment complex.
Yeah. And when they rebuilt them, they did the right thing, though. There's still a certain percentage of those houses that are still part of the housing authority, so that there's a good mix within there as far as socioeconomically. And I think that's, again, it's something that San Antonio always looks at. We don't go out and build and revitalize an area and don't think about the current community.
Yeah.
I think that we do a good job of pitting the right mix and again, going back to where I think that one of the reasons why I love San Antonio and kind of where I was going with in the whole sports thing is when we do win championships and when we win more championships with the Spurs, because we have won 5. The
race for Sace.
The race for Sace. I remember the first one we won in '99. The first thing that happened is like everybody starts looking, okay, what's going to happen? And what happens is everybody has a good time.
Yeah, San Antonio doesn't get crazy like the other cities. Like in Philadelphia when the Eagles won, it's Cowboys Nation, so we don't like the Eagles around here.
Or the Lakers. Let's talk about the Lakers. We don't like them either.
Not crazy
LA,
about the Lakers
thing.
either. R.I.P. Kobe. Kobe was definitely fun to watch. He was somebody we love to hate.
For sure.
Here in San Antonio. But yeah, like we don't have to be like Philadelphia and these other cities, L.A., where they have to grease the light poles because people are going to be climbing them, knocking them over, flipping over cars and whatnot.
Setting them on fire.
What we do in San Antonio, anytime we win the championship or playoff games and things like that, is we all go downtown and honk our horns.
Well, you know what? I think that goes to the makeup of our town. The way that San Antonio has developed is through a lot of it has to do with, and the reason I'm here is because it's a military city USA. We call it that. It's that. I know a lot of places claim being the military city USA, but San Antonio really is that. With the retirement community, even with you think of like what used to be BAMC, Brooks Army Medical
SAMC
Center. Now it's SAMC. It is the level 1 trauma care for all of San Antonio. So it's not just for military personnel. And what's crazy is that hospital it's kind of the lifeblood of a lot of things, because of the amount of exposure they get to the trauma and the casualty and the unfortunate things with our military
warriors, and
you've got working with people with needing prosthetics. Their burn unit is probably one of the best ones in the country,
if not the best.
If not the best. It's interesting. That's my daughter. She's a nurse. She just got her RN this year, and that's her ultimate goal. Is she wants to work that level 1 trauma care there at SAMC, which she's a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I don't know if I could handle that.
Yeah. I'm actually helping a family move in. They're getting PCS from California, and she's going to work at SAMC.
That's awesome. It's one of the things that you talk about people moving here from California is the first thing most Texans say that is like leave your politics behind.
Yeah.
It's whatever your politics are. What I have seen, I've helped a number of families move and buy homes here in San Antonio. I've now helped specifically one family buy a few homes with the dad came first, and then they started bringing their daughter and their son, and everybody's kind of moving here. Is that they're not bringing their politics. They're coming here because they want to be more like Texas. What we have, the freedoms and things that we have. And what's interesting though for me is like kind of the carryover. because you have not only just the nurses that are coming here and like the kind of the blue collar workers and white collar workers, the everyday person, but we've seen an influx of celebrities, if you will. Everybody kind of following Joe Rogan coming down. He's coming into Austin, not San Antonio, but we kind of get that overflow. What's cool is like he built his comedy mothership. He's got a new comedy club there, and now we just get all of the great comedy shows in San Antonio. We got to see Adam Sandler recently.
Yeah, did you see he was down at the Pro? He took a picture with some guy that was dressed up like Little Nicky.
That was hilarious. He playing again, basketball fan. He's playing basketball down at Trinity. It's cool to see the San Antonio being highlighted again. We get highlighted for positive things. We don't. Yeah. It's not the negative things that happen here in San Antonio that get highlighted, because we have a few. I mean, we're not perfect. Like we're any big city. We've got over 1 million people now. We have some issues, but for the most part, it's pretty chill.
Yeah, there's crime everywhere. There's things like that everywhere. But from what I've experienced growing up, is typically you're not running into that stuff unless you're out there looking for it.
100%.
So, like, as I've grown up, I don't have any of the problems I used to have when I was a kid. And it's probably because I act a lot different now.
I know. Well, I know I act a lot different. I'm completing my 50th revolution around the sun this year, and I can tell you who I was when I was 18, graduating high school. Who I was when I was 25 and entering the market, the job world.
Yeah.
I'm like on my 5th iteration of myself, and hopefully it's always for the better. You know, we constantly try to learn, read some books and everything, and take in lessons from other people, and try to just become better people and more forgiving of other people. A little bit of graciousness goes a long way.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I love about podcasts and books and YouTube. There's so much information out there nowadays. You can literally be anybody you want to be in a year or two just by packing on that information and diving in and really just keeping that growth mindset.
Well, both of us come from the Keller Williams background.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always love that Gary Keller says is that you're only 5 years away from changing your life, like from being like having a completely different life. If you put the mindset together and put some action behind it and just stay consistent. My word of the year, consistency. And just stay consistent with it. In 5 years, your life is completely different than what it's ever been before. And everybody has that opportunity, honestly, in this world. I've seen guys come over from other countries at 18 years old. We know the same guy.
Yeah.
And within 4 or 5 years is just killing it. And it's someone who barely spoke the language, didn't have any real formal education as far as like a higher level and stuff like that. But by putting consistent action and consistency there, you can change your life.
Yeah, he owns a bunch of properties now and just out here killing it. But you know, one of the things that I love that quote by Gary Keller, but one of the things I like a spinoff of that one. In my opinion, we're only 1 or 2 relationships away from changing generations.
That's good.
So it's all about who we meet and where that leads down and building those relationships with people. That's one of the reasons I love real estate so much, is we're able to build relationships with hundreds of people from all walks of life. We talked about people coming in from California, but what a lot of people don't know is we're starting to see people leave back to California.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so what I've noticed, people leaving back to California, we just had one of the hottest summers here in San Antonio.
Entering the worst cedar season I've felt in the last few years.
Yeah, the cedar season, it didn't help the 50-mile-per-hour wind the other day. Just absolutely wreaking havoc on everybody and their allergies. So what we've been seeing, people moving back to California because of the weather, because of having to go back to their office jobs. One of the biggest life hacks during COVID, where people were keeping the pay in California, working remotely, moving to Texas with a lower cost of living and just stacking up money like crazy. Now that offices and places are starting to call employees back into the office, they're having to sell, rent out their house, and eventually go back to California or find a new job.
You're talking about living in Texas and reaping the benefits of the pay of California. I'm sure you saw, and I'm going to butcher his name. The LA Dodger guy said, I think it's Sadiq.
Yeah.
I don't want to destroy his name. The amazing athlete, amazing baseball player. He set up his contract as you probably for the first 10 years of it, he's only paid $2 million a year, and he's deferring $68 million a year until after he retires, so that he doesn't have to pay the California taxes. I don't know if you saw this. I saw this an article yesterday or the day before, one of the two, that the comptroller of California is proposing to Congress to make new legislation that they have to limit the amount of money that they can defer their payments so that they can capture more of it.
Well, that's usually where rules come from, is people taking advantage of the loopholes and it just becoming an issue. Well,
things but you know what? Again, pumping up San Antonio, pumping up Texas, and one of the great reasons is my daughter. I've talked to you about a lot. She's a very competitive volleyball player. We're very fortunate that she's going to be playing on scholarship at Rice University coming next year. Very excited for her.
What's the nickname for Rice for people that might not know?
The Rice Owls?
Yeah, what's the nickname?
Oh, it's the Harvard of the South. Yeah, it is. And she, we're very proud of her. But when she had an opportunity, she had plenty of opportunities to play in a number of places. And when she was playing, and for those that don't know, competitive sports is not easy, and to earn a scholarship and to find the scholarships and things like that, you really basically have to start it's like a business. You have to market it. I looked at it as like she was my product, and I basically had to figure out how to market her to as many people as possible so that she can have the most exposure. And we took a list of every single D1 school, and when she was a freshman in high school, and we started emailing them videos and her stats and different things, and inviting them to tournaments that we're going to. And at the time, California was talking about they were going to tax college graduates that came in and got their college a degree in California, but then went somewhere else to work, that they were going to tax their future earnings. This is something that they were proposing a few years ago. I don't know if it actually went into place, but I saw that, and I talked to her. I was like, look, you can go anywhere you want to play volleyball, but we're not going to California. I mean, it's like we don't need there's enough schools everywhere else. We're not even going to look at those schools just because of that. It's like, and it's nothing against those schools or anything, but like, why put yourself in a position to where you're beholden to somebody that did really nothing for you? I mean, you're there helping them out.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having to pay the income tax, the state income tax, and all that craziness that goes on in California. Like, I definitely understand why people escape that.
Yep.
I think it's crazy that they're going back. I would think change jobs or do whatever you got to do. But some people were born and raised in that atmosphere, and they want to get back to home. I mean, I can't perfect weather.
Great weather. Well, and again, it's California it's a bigger state than people think. Everybody thinks of Los Angeles and LA, but when you get up into Northern California, you start getting into the Oregon kind of weather.
Yeah,
you get a little bit more rain and get into the mountains and stuff like that. So it's and a lot of farmland around there that people don't realize. They think it's just Hollywood and or Hollyweird. It's becoming more evident how weird it is.
I like San Antonio because it's not as weird as Austin.
Absolutely. And we have better tacos.
Oh, Austin sells tacos?
I don't think so. Here's the problem. Here's my rule of thumb when it comes to tacos. If you have to order in Spanish, it's going to be good.
You know my rule of thumb when it comes to order tacos? If it's north of 1604, I don't want them.
It needs to be inside Loop 410.
Yeah, and if you really want really good tacos, south of 90.
So what's your favorite taco place?
So there's a small little mom and pop near my house called La Montanita.
The Little Mountain.
Yeah, the Little Mountain. Best bean and cheese tacos. For you that don't know about San Antonio, bean and cheese tacos are a staple. You're going to fall in love with them.
The thing I like about bean and cheese tacos, honestly, is that you can get, like, before we go for a hike or something like that as a family, we'll go wherever we're going. A lot of times we'll get some tacos on our way up there to kind of get some food in us, get some protein, get some nutrients. And the bean and cheese hold up so great because you can order extra, and then as you're on your hike and everything, you can have a handful of bean and cheese tacos in there. Because once the beans get a little cold and gets a little harder, and the cheese gets a little harder and everything, that's when they're like perfect. Like you can get a cold bean and cheese taco is like to die for. But fresh off, I'm a potato and egg. I need 2 potato and egg and 1 bean and chorizo.
So I'm gonna tell you, I disagree with that. I want my beans so hot that they're kind of runny. Worst thing about a bean and cheese taco. Worst thing about a bean and cheese taco. It's when they don't smash the bean all the way.
Yeah.
When you get a whole bean and a bite of bean and cheese taco, oh man, that's the worst.
But at least you know they're smashing them and they're not getting them out of can.
Yeah.
Because it's authentic.
Just that whole bean, it just throws off the texture. I will tell you, during COVID, you lose your taste, your smell, all that good stuff. So I ordered some bean and cheese tacos on DoorDash. Bad idea. The texture with no flavor is disgusting.
Well, that was the worst. There's the same thing. I lost my sense of taste and smell. I figured it out when I was making chili one day, and I was cutting up onions, and I wasn't crying.
You thought you got tough.
I was like, "What's going on here?" Put in my nose. We even had like from fish sauce. I don't know if you've ever smelled fish sauce from an Asian restaurant. I had my nose all up in there. No, nothing. Nothing. I was like, I got it. It's all right.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you while we're talking about food in San Antonio, have you tried PB&J with Tay?
You are all about PB&J. I haven't been there yet.
Oh, man, they are so good. We're going to have to go do an episode there.
Okay.
The owner's name's Jeremiah Burns. But we're not related. He don't have the E. I'm ES. He's NS.
You're a little extra.
Yeah, I'm a little extra. That's what the E stands for. But, man, I didn't know you could put that spin on a PB&J. It's crazy.
I love all these restaurants that are putting their own spin on things, taking things to a different direction than what you're used to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar. One of my favorite ice cream shops. It's downtown in the kind of right off Monte Vista area. It's called Boozy's, and everything has a little bit of booze in it. So they'll have like an you can get a dad's not your dad's root beer, which is an alcoholic root beer, and then you can get some vanilla bean with bourbon, with actual bourbon in the ice cream, and then you make a root beer float with that, and then you get a little boozy at the same time. It's awesome.
So the cops just hang out and catch people driving after ice cream?
No driving while eating ice cream.
No driving with ice cream. So tell us a little bit about, we talked a little bit about the mountain cedar.
Yes.
Killing everybody.
Yes.
I'll say everybody has their own tricks on how to get through mountain cedar season here in Texas, in San Antonio. What's your tricks?
Mine's a Flonase and Zyrtec.
Flonase and Zyrtec?
Yeah, my kids are more of a Claritin thing, but I need the nose sprays. I need and then on top of that, sometimes I even have to go with eye drops. There's some eye drops. My daughter offered me up some Visine the other day, and I was like, "Why do you have Visine?" And then
you thought she was hiding something, huh?
I was like, "I don't need that." That's not enough. It's not about the redness. I need the actual antihistamine in the eye drop so I can put the drugs right onto my eyes so they can stop the itching and burning and everything. But yeah, it's a problem. I've talked to a few people that as soon as their kids graduate high school, one of the reasons why they want to move away is because of the mountain cedar, which is actually a juniper tree. I was talking to Karina the other day, and her son goes to school at Colorado. He's up there with Coach Prime, not playing. He's just going to school, but Coach Prime.
Prime time, baby.
Prime time, and like they're literally in the mountains, and their mountain cedar levels were like less than 500, and ours are at 25,000, and it's like they're right at the source.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's crazy the effects that it has on us down here.
Yeah, mountain cedar's something serious. Cedar fever is real. I like those Texas cedar fever medicine.
The homeopathic ones?
Yeah.
You know what? One of the best ways to do that, the homeopathic one, is actually like honey.
Yeah, local honey.
Local honey.
Local honey.
Local honeys that are eating the flowers and getting the pollen from that. It's it's shocking. It's not shocking to me, but I've come to understand that hippies back in the day, the granola people and everything that are eating more natural and everything like that, they're kind of right. Like the more natural that we eat, the better off we're going to be. And so like the more you eat from locally from nature and get those types of things into your system and everything, it helps build up your immunities. And right now it's like building up our immunity is kind of where I feel like I just got sick again the other day, and it's like the first time I had not, for the first 47 years of my life, I hardly ever got sick. And then once we had the pandemic and everything, now it feels like I get sick more often than I did ever before.
I feel like COVID has really just brought sicknesses and allergies and things like that to our attention. Because back in the day, we used to have like the tough guy ethic to where it's like, oh, I can go to work with the flu and power through it. But nowadays, it's like, hey, you have the flu, you need to stay home. I think that's one of the benefits that COVID has had on society is people realize, hey, when I'm sick, I probably need to get away from people and like quarantine per se.
Stay home.
Yeah.
Not necessarily wear a mask, but just stay home.
Yeah, I wasn't too crazy on the masks.
I tell you, it's when I got sick the other day, I hadn't felt that bad since I had my last COVID shots, though. The last thing that knocked me out as much as that was COVID shots. After having COVID and then getting the boosters and things, man, that made me feel I think, worse than getting sick in real life. Yeah, if you will.
See, I didn't take COVID shots.
It's one of those things where I'm okay with my decision with the information I had then, but if I have the information now, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of everybody's personal opinion on it. I hated how it was so hard. Like, hey, if you're not going to do it, you're gonna get canceled, and kind of the cancel culture type thing. Yeah, I hate how society tries to peer pressure everybody into doing whatever it is the news or whatever it is telling them to do. So I've always been the person I like to go against the grain. So most of the time,
you're Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. I'm just glad he's not with the Packers anymore.
He would be,
yeah. I would be more worried if he was with the Packers. I've always been one to go against the grain. So when somebody tells me not to do something, I usually try to pick it apart and say, hey, why are you telling me not to do it? So even in business and things like that, people are like, oh, you can't do that. That doesn't work.
Why?
Yeah, I'm always like, why? And I was like, no, guy, like that didn't work for you. Watch me.
You know what? I think that has a little bit to do with the age difference between us, the different generations. I was naive. I feel like I was naive when I was younger. When what they told us in schools, I thought was true, and like one of the number one things is like the Supreme Court. We were told that the Supreme Court is a non-political body that is only going to be there to interpret the laws and make decisions based on what the Constitution says. Turns out that's not true. It's completely political. And like there's so much of that this generation, and now again going back to podcast and social media and there's a lot of downfalls to all of that. And I really believe that the longer you can keep your kids off of social media, the better, because I think that it does have some. It works just like a slot machine. It's programmed to make you addicted to it, but it is also at the same time it's allowing people to get true information that's not biased, that's not filtered through BlackRock and all these corporations that have an agenda, the pharmaceutical companies that have an agenda that are just like, hey, you might think of it this. I never questioned why, and it's great that you've done that your whole life. I started doing that later in life,
and I think it's just like you said, it's just the amount of information that a lot of us younger people. I say younger. I'm 34, so I'm not on the too young of end. But I think that's just one of the things that we've gotten that a lot of the older generation didn't have was the internet and information coming from the internet that's not ran through corporations and whatnot. So we actually are able to make decisions based upon information that we gather versus what the news station is telling us.
Which is good. It's the again, we've been lied to for a long time. Yeah. By politicians and things, and kind of lied to us to divide us. And I think that what the internet and podcast and this has allowed is people to break down those barriers and realize that we have a whole lot more in common than we believe. And again, I think San Antonio is a great example of that, and a lot of it has to do with the military, because with the military you have everybody. It's
the band of brothers.
The band, yeah, all walks of life from all areas, and they learn how to work together and live together and play together and love together and laugh together. And San Antonio is a great example of that.
You know what I like to see now? So long in the past, only reason people moved to San Antonio was because of the military. Mm-hmm. Now we're starting to get these other places opening up, like Microsoft, the Tesla factories not too far from San Antonio. Mm-hmm. We're getting these different types of jobs where people are moving into San Antonio from different places, not just military.
The healthcare industry in San Antonio is super huge, and a lot of that has to do, again, kind of goes back to the military, because we have an aging, retiring community so we have a lot of need for healthcare. But like University Hospital is one of the best in the country as far as trauma and stuff like that. I went there when I broke my leg. I had a motorcycle accident, had to get a titanium rod put in my leg, and the level of care that they were able to do and everything, and they do it in these places. But that brings in, because it's a teaching people from all over. People are coming from all over the country, all over the world to come to San Antonio, and it's had a great impact on our food. And it's like we've got a growing food scene. We've got the Culinary Institute of America downtown at the Pearl. So we're kind of really becoming that cosmopolitan city where we've got people from all over. And I think that our leadership in our community, like, I don't agree with everything that they do, but they really have been able to build up San Antonio to where it's a thriving community that's a place where people want to live.
Yeah. You know, for the longest time, San Antonio's diversity was if you wanted flour or corn tortillas. But now we're starting to get all kinds of different kinds of restaurants and things like that. For the longest time, I heard a lot of people talk about San Antonio is not as diverse as people make it out to be, because the only diversity is either like American type food or Mexican food. But I think now, as these other plants, as these hospitals, as all of the people migrate from all different places here, we're starting to get different things.
For sure. As you become a true melting pot, which is what the United States is supposed to be, it's if you allow that melting to happen and everybody can kind of cross over, it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
It's we're all the same at the end of the day.
One thing I was telling somebody the other day, somebody asked me, how is San Antonio built up, or what's the design of San Antonio? Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of times the city, as they're building, they're always building 5 years ahead, but it takes 10 years to finish the project. So we're always building kind of from behind with infrastructure and things like that, with so many people moving here. One of the things that I've noticed with San Antonio is, you know how San Antonio was built? Like the layout of it?
Tell me. I don't want to guess.
Yeah. So it started out like the Alamo downtown area, and then it worked its way around in a circle. So as you continue to go out, we had Loop 410. Mm-hmm. As we continue to grow more, we have Loop 1604. And now everything around 1604, which is the outer loop of San Antonio, is starting to build out. And then eventually we're going to have that next outer loop, which is going to be like Highway 46, 211, further out like that. I think eventually we might even run into Austin. I think that's still a little ways away, just because that I-35 corridor. But we're just expanding out further and further.
Well, that I-35 corridor, I don't know if they're building the double-decker highway. Right now they've already started construction of it, but basically you're going to have an upper level and a lower level on 35 going all the way from the like New Braunfels kind of area, kind of where Samsey is, a little bit south of Samsey, going all the way past 1604, so that you have traffic, so that you don't have to have impeding traffic coming through, as far as, because we still have all the trucks coming up from Laredo and everything like that. We're still a major corridor for products and things coming up through Mexico, which is never going to stop. Which is good. It's kind of I feel like our relationships with Mexico is getting stronger as we try to like break away from China with a lot of our manufacturing and things, with just kind of the tensions and everything that has to do with that, and having all of our eggs in one basket. And it's really, and the thing is with like manufacturing, it's getting more expensive to build things there because they're kind of turning more not to a pure capitalistic society, but they're wanting more than 2 cents a day to work and everything.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good stuff.
It's interesting. I think a lot of the things we got going on in San Antonio right now is going to continue pushing our housing market forward.
100%.
What are you seeing in the housing market right now?
I think that right now we've seen the Fed do some things and make some statements that they're indicating that they're going to make at least 3 cuts. I've heard everywhere from 3 cuts to 6 cuts, depending on who you talk to. I think the people that say there's going to be 6 cuts are a little bit over optimistic. I think that the people that are saying 3 cuts, maybe a little bit more pessimistic. I think that we're probably going to line somewhere in between, which is going to drive interest rates down, which is great. Driving interest rates down is going to make housing more affordable. But what buyers need to understand is that as housing becomes more affordable with interest rates going down, it's going to create a bigger demand. And we're going to have more buyers in the market. And those buyers are going to, with more buyers in the market, that's going to make prices increase because it's just supply and demand competition. And so I think with that, now is a good time to buy. I think that as we move forward, we're going to, as we see these interest rates going down and we see more buyers in the market, prices are going to go up, and any savings that you might have thought that you could have with interest rates, you're going to lose with the higher price. So your payment's probably going to be somewhat the same today as it is going to be in 6 months, but you're going to lose equity.
Yeah,
which is important. And equity, as we know, is the difference in what you owe on the house and what the value of that house is. And really, that's your leverage. That's your power to do things. We see a lot of people taking their equity that they've gained when they bought in 2020, and now it's 2023, or even they bought in 2016, and they've got $100,000, $200,000 worth of equity in the house because values have had such a rapid increase, and they're able to use that and do other things within real estate, buying rental properties and building generational wealth and building passive income and passive cash flow, and not taking anything necessarily out of their pocket, but using what equity they have already in their current home, which I think is great. I'm all for building generational wealth.
Yeah, during COVID, I had multiple clients that purchased homes in the beginning of COVID, and then towards the end of COVID, they decided to sell them, which is like a year and a half later. And we had multiple people walk away with $100,000 in equity from selling that property and then buying into the next one. A lot of them utilized their VA home loan to where they put zero money out of pocket, lived there 2 years, and walked away with $100,000. I did an open house this last weekend for a client that we have the listing for, and someone from the neighborhood came in. And this is a great real-world example. He bought his house in 2020. He used his VA, as you were saying, so he put no money down. Interest rates were dirt low at that point. And so he has a need because of his family with a disabled child that she has to be carried. She's wheelchair bound. She's 10 years old now, and she's getting heavier. And they have a 2-story home. They bought a 2-story home. So he's responsible to carry her upstairs every day, when she needs bad time and those types of things. He has a bad back. He's a disabled vet, and so it's difficult, and it's getting more burdensome on him. And so we've kind of run through some numbers, and based on what his payment was with the lower interest rate, he could rent that house out today, take the additional cash flow that he would have on top of what his payment is on that mortgage, and we're renting it out, buy something a little bit smaller, 1-story, but more beneficial, something that's more appropriate for their situation today. And really, his payments aren't going to change out of pocket. He can buy another house. Now he's got 2 houses. He's still using his VA because he's under the threshold. I think it's $750,000, somewhere around there. I don't want to state. I'm not a lending expert, so I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's an exact number. But he falls within that, and so as long as you've lived in your house for a year with the VA, you can go out and buy another home using that VA benefit again, as long as you're under that number, and still put 0 down. And he's able to do this, and it's helping his family, and it's opportunities like that people don't realize what the equity and what in utilizing these, not loopholes, but these intentional benefits of these programs that they just may not be aware of. Yeah, there's a reason why the government gave them the benefits.
100%.
They want them to take advantage of them.
the more people that own homes, and I've saw some stats not too long ago that I think it was in 2020, maybe 21, it was 64% of single family homes were lived in by the owner, right? 64%. And that is a number that's on a trajectory going down. And so we have a lot of these institutional buyers that come in and are buying up 1,000 homes. We've seen neighborhoods that have 1,000 homes being built in, and every single one of them is not going to go on the market. They're going to go straight into a rental pool. And so we're getting into this point where we're becoming a rental economy. So my goal is anybody that I can help, take part in home ownership to where they're living in their own home, but also take advantage of that it becoming a rental economy. Take it away from the corporations. I'd rather see 1,000 individuals own 2 homes with one of them being one of them rented out than a corporation that has 1,000 rental properties out there. I think that generating individual wealth and generational wealth for families is a better use of my time.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that our goal is to have a house for each kid. So for every kid that we have, we want to make sure we have a house for them. So that way, when they go to college, instead of putting money into a college savings fund or anything like that, when they go to college, we can refinance that house, cash out refinance,
Yep.
Pay for college, or maybe get them a student loan and then pay it off right away. So that way, they're able to kind of build their credit and do things like that.
Yep.
And then keep the asset in the family and then continue to build that way.
I like it. I've got a lofty goal. I've got 6 kids, and my goal in this next 50 years of my life, like I said, I'm finishing up my 50th year. I feel like I got another 50 years in me. I feel pretty good. We'll see. My goal is to have 50 doors.
Nice.
Not necessarily 50 houses, but 50 doors
per
kid. So my goal is to get to 300 doors of ownership within our family, so that I've got either a healthy or an unhealthy fear of AI, and we all see it. It's happening every day, and it's either going to. My daughter, my 12-year-old, she made a comment to me the other day that. I was telling her, I was explaining this exact same thread about, like, with AI, there's a lot of jobs that are going away that people didn't realize. Radiologists, AI is better at seeing tumors and things in that black and gray scale that that MRIs and X-rays are taking than the human eye. And so a friend of mine's a radiologist, and he said he literally feels like sometimes he's just training his replacement when he's going to work every day. And so it's either healthy or unhealthy. It's a little bit of a fear of, like, what jobs are going to be available. She said, well, there's jobs out there that we haven't thought of yet. I'm like, you know what? There are. And that's that mindset of someone who's native to technology. I told you when we had Christmas, we have stockings, and they're very specific knitted stockings. They're green and white, red and white, and all the thing, and they all look the same. We bought them all the same time. Son got married. We have a daughter-in-law now. She needs a stocking at the house, and we're like, it needs to match. And as me and her mom were talking about it, within 5 minutes, Elena comes in here and she goes, "Here, you can order it on Amazon." I'm like, "How'd you find that?" She goes, "Oh, I did a Google image search." I'm like, no, of course you did. I'm like, it didn't even cross my mind, but she's so native to technology that it automatically, she's like, "Oh, I know how to do this." But again, going back that healthy or unhealthy fear of AI, whether or not there's jobs available, I want there to be if there's not the opportunity to earn living in the future, I feel like, again, home ownership and having rental property and having that portfolio, that's going to provide that extra income and that they wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity. So my goal is to get there. It's something that I work at towards every day, but they're all doing great in their chosen career paths right now. So if I don't get there, then that's on me.
That's exciting. So, one of the things I was looking at, I was actually doing some market research of the real estate market here in San Antonio. You know how many homes sold in the past week?
In San Antonio?
In San Antonio.
I'm going to guess 420.
Actually, in the past week, there's been 200 homes that sold through San Antonio Board Realtors. So that might not include some of the new construction type stuff.
Right.
We've been averaging about 400. I don't think it's crash or anything
that's
like that.
That's why I was like, that was my guess. And it was the holiday season.
Yeah, I think we went through the holiday season, and you got to think we had New Year's, we had Christmas, we had everything kind of bundled up right there in the beginning, or the end/the beginning of the year. So over the past week, they're down a little bit, but they're starting to really pick back up. We had a listing that was on the market for 86 days with no offers, and then we had 3 people interested trying to buy it over this past weekend.
That's crazy.
So it's like something just clicked. Interest rates came down. People jumped back in the market. I think it's a combination of interest rates coming down. We're getting back into the spring market. Mm-hmm. I think those two things combined has sparked up the San Antonio real estate market, and I'm excited to see where it's headed.
Me too. And it goes back to what we were saying. It's like as interest rates fall down, more buyers are going to get in the market. It's going to get more competitive. If somebody at 40 days on the market had come in and made an offer $15,000 less than list price, but the seller probably would have snapped it up. But now they have competition, and they're going to get full asking price. So it's beneficial for them. It's going to be more difficult for buyers. So if you're looking at buying, I would say you think about buying sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. So that concludes episode 1 of All Things San Antonio podcast. Looking forward. Hit that like, subscribe. Listen
Tell your
to
friends.
us. I know we're interesting, great looking, all of that good stuff. We'll see y'all later.
See ya.